This is Candice Knight,
Hello.
my fiance, which is beside the point, and my cat Bamboozler. And Candice is involved in my latest project.
Well, I was working for a radio station out here on Long Island, and they had told me that there was going to be a soccer game between the band Deep Purple and the radio station I was working for. So I went to cheer my team on, like I felt I should, and after the game was over, there's about 75 people on the sidelines, and I went up to ask Richie for an autograph. And when I asked him for an autograph, all dressed in sweatpants and looking pretty terrible, I thought, he looked up at me and he said, "You know, you're a very beautiful girl." And that meant so much. I thought that was great, and that was going to be my Richie Blackmore story. That Richie Blackmore told me I was beautiful, and I got an autograph, and that was it. And I started to walk off the field, and he sent 3 people that worked for him through the crowd to find out who I was, and to meet him at a bar afterwards. And I did, and we wound up talking all night long until about 7:30 in the morning, I think. And we just hit it off very well. We had so much in common. We were both very interested in seances and Renaissance times, and there were so many things that just clicked between the two of us. And then I would see him once every couple of weeks, or if he was on a tour, he would send me postcards I'd receive these postcards from Israel and Japan and all over the world. And it just took off from there. Ever since then, it's been more and more. He would see me, well, now we see each other a little bit more than once every 3 weeks, but we just got closer and closer, and I finally moved up. He was living in Connecticut. I moved into his house in Connecticut, and we've just been together ever since then. That was 8 years ago. A long time.
She very quickly comprehended the interpretations that I wanted to have and what she put together, and it's worked incredibly well and very quickly. The whole thing has come together very fast. When we first met, we had this natural liking for the Renaissance days of Germany, or being in cobbled streets and in silhouetted form in the shadows of the medieval buildings. There's something about that whole life back then that was very, very acceptable and very exciting. Obviously a very dangerous time too, but there's something there that really pleases me, and obviously it pleases Candice.
I know. I don't, honestly, I should probably, right? But I really don't. I know I had seen Deep Purple play in concert with Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith back in 1989, and that was a few months before I actually met him. And I was there in general admission in the front, getting pushed around by everybody else, and I didn't really, the only songs that I knew were Woman from Tokyo and Smoke on the Water, and the ones that everybody else knew. And I knew a few Rainbow songs. I think I was more into Rainbow actually than Deep Purple, but even now I hear songs, people play songs for me, and I have no idea that it's him. But I'm more of a fan of his as a person inside, and for what I hear, I was explaining before, I hear the most amazing things come out of him while he's sitting on a couch watching television, just playing with the acoustic, just practicing. And the stuff that he plays on this.
Feeling lonely, feeling sad, she cried in the moonlight, driven by a world gone mad, she took flight.
That's all about the passion of the gypsies, what they have, I hope, back in the 1500s, yet played on electric guitars as well. So it's a conglomeration of all sorts. Concept was, I've been intrigued, and I love music from the 1500s, 1550s, Henry VIII's time, basically. And I've always wanted to play that music and incorporate it into what I'm doing, but it's been hard because I've been in rock and roll bands. And it's taken me basically 20 years to incorporate it into something halfway, something that I can play myself. I'm not a particularly accomplished acoustic player, and a lot of it takes place on the acoustic guitars. Not all of it, but most of it. And Candice was she picks up very quickly. If I have a tune from the 1500s, she will immediately put lyrics to it, and it will almost sound like we're back in those days, but transported like 400 years later. It's a strange feeling, and hopefully it will capture the people's attention, people that are into the 1500s music, and also people today that don't particularly have not acknowledged that particular music. But it's Renaissance music, which is basically 1550s to 1650s, is very similar to rock and roll. It's played again in fourths and fifths, and there's a lot of things that are very similar to rock and roll. And people were full of debauchery and getting drunk and having a good time. So it's something we can all relate to. Maybe nobody here.